The silent preparation. The galaxy had almost forgotten about humans. For centuries they were quiet, too quiet. Alien empires grew, traded, and fought wars among themselves, while Earth appeared weak, silent, and unimportant. To the Council of Stars, humans were nothing more than a young race still learning how to survive beyond their small blue world. But silence was never weakness. Deep under the surface of Earth, and far across the solar system, something was happening. In secret, humans had been preparing. The world above saw only ordinary cities, ships for mining and small colonies on Mars. But hidden beneath, there were shipyards the size of mountains, caverns stretched for miles, where lights never went out, and machines forged metal stronger than any alien alloy. For 300 years, generation after generation, people were born and raised only to serve one purpose: to build the fleet. The alien scouts never saw it. Their probes detected nothing. Every signal from Earth was masked, encrypted or buried under noise. The humans had learned to hide better than any other species. In the darkness of an asteroid belt near Jupiter, a small alien scout ship moved silently. Its sensors searched for signs of activity, but the pilot frowned. Something felt wrong. Space was never truly empty, yet his screen showed only static, only silence. He tapped the console nervously. Then, just for a moment, the sensors flickered. A faint echo appeared. Too large to be a ship, too strange to be a planet. The pilot leaned. Closer. Before he could lock the reading, it vanished. He whispered to himself, "What are you hiding, humans?" Far away, deep beneath Earth's oceans, giant doors opened. The water roared as steel titans slowly rose from hidden bays. These were not ordinary ships. Each one was a fortress, a moving city, larger than anything the aliens had ever imagined. The engines did not burn bright. They were silent, black, invisible to scanners. Inside one of these hidden stations, a young engineer named Arya wiped grease from her face. She had never seen the stars. She was born in the tunnels, raised among steel and fire. For her, the fleet was not just a mission, it was life itself. Her grandfather often told her, "Our silence is our weapon. One day, child, the galaxy will see what we built in the shadows." Arya smiled faintly as she watched a battleship's hull being sealed. The ship was so vast that its interior could hold forests, lakes, and entire farms. To the galaxy, it would look like a planet drifting in space, but it was not a planet. It was humanity's answer to centuries of doubt and fear. Above, the people of Earth lived normal lives. They farmed, traded, and studied. They dreamed of a better tomorrow. None of them knew the full truth. Only a chosen few, the builders, the soldiers, and the keepers of silence, understood what was hidden below. On Mars, under the red dust, another shipyard stirred. Dozens of ships rested quietly in massive hangars. Children ran through tunnels, their laughter echoing, unaware that they were playing beside weapons that could shake the galaxy. The silence was everywhere. No message escaped. No rumor spread. Aliens believed humans were slow, distracted, and harmless. They laughed at Earth's tiny colonies, their weak defenses, their simple fleets. But in truth, humanity had already built something far greater than any alien empire could dream of. Back in the asteroid belt, the alien scout finally sent a report. His voice trembled as he spoke. "The humans are different. I cannot explain it, but something moves in the shadows of their system. It feels larger than planets. It feels alive." The message reached the Council of Stars. The alien leaders dismissed it as nonsense. One of them laughed and said, "Humans, they still struggle to breathe their own air without machines. What can they possibly hide from us?" But far beneath Earth's crust, a voice echoed through hidden halls. It was the AI, the ancient guardian built by the first generation of planners. It had been silent for centuries, waiting. Now, it spoke 3 simple words: "The time nears." Engines hummed in the darkness. Steel groaned as titanic structures moved. A fleet was awakening, a fleet the size of planets, built not for display, but for survival. Arya stood at the viewing deck of the underground shipyard, her eyes wide, as she watched a vessel slowly rise toward the ocean surface. Her hands shook, not with fear but with pride. Humanity had prepared in silence. Humanity was ready, and when the galaxy finally saw them, it would never laugh again. Whispers across the stars. The alien council gathered inside a chamber that floated above the twin suns of Orvian. It was a hall of glass and light, filled with representatives from 100 worlds. They wore crowns, scales, feathers, and metal skins. Yet for all their power, unease spread among them. The report from the scout ship was read aloud. Humans are hiding something. Structures moving like shadows. Too big, too quiet. The words echoed. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Counselor with golden eyes leaned forward. Humans? They are weak. They barely left their system. They beg for trade. They cling to scraps. Why waste our time on them? But another older voice cut through the hall. It belonged to Zorath, the eldest of the Varen species whose people had fought many wars. His voice was low and rough. You do not understand humans. They do not move like others. When they are silent, it means they are watching. When they vanish, it means they are preparing. The chamber stirred with whispers. Some laughed, some frowned. One young alien commander spoke sharply. I was near Jupiter's rings last cycle. Something shifted in the void. It was not a planet, not a moon. It was too perfect. It vanished when I looked again. If it was human-made, then they are hiding more than ships. They are hiding power. The council tried to calm itself, but unease remained. Meanwhile, in hidden parts of the galaxy, whispers had already begun. Merchants traveling near Earth claimed their ships lost signals for hours. Explorers swore they saw shapes the size of continents gliding through shadow. Each rumor was dismissed, yet repeated again and again until fear grew like a shadow in every corner. One night, on a distant alien world, a young historian opened a forbidden archive. It contained fragments of human messages from centuries ago, encrypted codes, strange warnings, promises whispered into the void. She read them with shaking hands. The humans had always spoken of patience, of waiting for the right time. They were never silent, she whispered. They were speaking to themselves. Back on Earth, the silence continued. The massive shipyards under oceans, mountains, and Martian canyons worked day and night. Yet no sound left the solar system. No alien eye saw the truth. Inside one underground city, a teacher told his students an old story. Long ago, humans were hunted, enslaved, and mocked by stronger empires. We lost battles, we lost colonies. But we never lost our memory. We promised ourselves, we will never be weak again. And so we prepared, not in noise, not in light, but in silence. The children listened with wide eyes, unaware that above them, a ship the size of a small planet rested, waiting. The Council of Stars held another meeting weeks later. This time, the debate was louder, angrier. They are only humans, one shouted. No, another hissed. They are something else. No race prepares in silence unless they are building for war. Finally, Zorath spoke again, his voice like stone breaking. Mark my words. When the humans rise from their silence, it will not be with whispers. It will be with thunder. Far away near Saturn, a shadow moved again. This time it did not vanish. A colossal figure drifted slowly, its hull dark and endless. From a distance it looked like another moon, but when lights rippled across its surface, the stars themselves seemed to bend. The alien scout who saw it froze in terror. His voice shook as he whispered into the recorder, "It is not a ship. It is a world that moves." The transmission cut, abruptly. His ship never returned. Back in the council chamber, the whispers grew louder. Fear turned into something worse. Suspicion. What were the humans building? Why had they stayed so quiet? And when they finally spoke, what would they say? The Awakening. Fleet beneath the dark oceans of Earth, the silence broke. Slowly, like giants rising from ancient sleep, enormous doors opened under black waters. Waves exploded as steel mountains moved upward. From hidden caverns, shapes emerged, vast, gleaming, and alive. These were not ships as the galaxy knew them. They were floating continents forged in secret, carrying forests, rivers, and cities within their hulls. To outsiders, they would look like wandering planets. But to humans, they were the Awakening fleet. Arya, the young engineer, stood on the highest platform of the shipyard. Her face glowed with the reflection of steel and light. For her, this was the moment her grandfather always promised. She felt the tremor of engines beneath her feet. The sound was deep, like the heartbeat of a world. Her grandfather's words echoed in her mind. "One day, child, our silence will roar louder than their armies." Far above, the oceans shook. Fishermen on the surface stared in disbelief as the sea rose like a mountain. Their boats rocked violently as a shadow the size of a continent broke the water. Metal towers climbed toward the sky, dripping with waves, glowing faintly with hidden fire. The fishermen gasped. They had lived normal lives, never knowing the truth. Now they saw a ship so vast it could swallow cities. For the first time, ordinary, humans realized that their world was not as it seemed. Across Mars, in the red dust valleys, gigantic hangars opened. Dust storms scattered as more titanic vessels rose. Their engines did not roar. They whispered, silent and unseen, crafted to escape alien eyes. But for those close enough, the ground shook like an earthquake. Children in Martian tunnels ran outside, pointing at the sky. One of them shouted, "Look! A new sun is rising." The hull of the ship reflected the light of dawn, shining like a second star. In orbit around Earth, hidden behind the moon, another layer of the secret unfolded. Dozens of smaller fleets, still massive by alien standards, aligned themselves in perfect formation. Their dark hulls blended with the shadows of space, invisible until their lights flickered, like constellations suddenly moving. Inside the command chamber of the first ark-ship, the AI spoke again. Its voice was calm, ancient, filled with purpose. 3 centuries complete. The cycle of preparation has ended. Humanity awakens. Screens lit up. Generals who had lived their entire lives underground took their seats. Soldiers, trained from birth in silence, filled the decks. Engineers checked systems that had never been tested in the open sky. One commander, an old woman named Captain Ilara, stood at the center. Her hair was silver, her eyes sharp with unbroken discipline. She raised her hand and the ship's massive systems came alive. "Signal to the fleet," she ordered. "The veil is lifted." Across the solar system, coded pulses spread. Massive ships that had waited for generations powered up together. Their engines created a vibration that could be felt across planets, though no sound left the system. It was a silent thunder, a heartbeat of steel and fire. Meanwhile, the Alien Council received fragments of data from spies. The reports made, their blood run cold. Planet-sized ships, thousands of them. Human fleet, awakening in silence. No race could build this without us knowing, and yet, they did. Panic spread among them. Some demanded an immediate strike. Others whispered of retreat. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized it had underestimated humanity. Back on Earth, Arya stood beside her grandfather as the first ark-ship broke free from the ocean. Sunlight poured across its hull, turning it into a rising star. The old man's eyes filled with tears. "Do you see, child?" he said softly. "This is why we endured in silence. This is why we waited." The sky filled with shadows as more ships emerged, climbing toward the stars. Each was a city, a fortress, a world of its own. The fleet was not just ready to fight. It was ready to survive, to lead, to change the destiny of the galaxy. And somewhere in the dark, hidden beyond Jupiter, the largest of all vessels stirred. Its hull stretched for thousands of kilometers. Inside, it carried an entire new Earth, HFY second home, prepared for the day humanity would step beyond survival. The awakening fleet was here, and the galaxy was about to tremble. The galaxy trembles, the Council of Stars met again. But this time, there was no laughter, no mocking words about humans. The chamber shook with anger and fear. Holograms of ships the size of worlds flickered across the glass walls. Data streams poured in, images of oceans splitting, of Martian hangars tearing open, of fleets aligning in silence. They deceived us, one counselor roared, his scales burning with light. They built under our eyes, and we saw nothing, another cried. Zorath, the old war leader, slammed his staff against the floor. The sound silenced the chamber. His deep voice carried the weight of centuries. You mocked them. You called them weak. And while you fought your endless wars, they were building a storm. Now the storm is here. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the panic returned. Some demanded an immediate strike on Earth before the humans could expand. Others whispered that such a strike might trigger something far worse. One trembling counselor asked the question everyone feared. How many ships do they have? The answer came from a nervous spy master. Too many to count. Not hundreds, not thousands. Entire planets move with them. Their fleet is alive. The word spread through the chamber like poison. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy's great powers felt small. Far away in the shadow of Saturn, the human fleet shifted. Hundreds of titanic vessels turned in unison. Their movements were silent, graceful, terrifying. It was not the random drift of ships. It was precision, like a blade being drawn from its sheath. Inside the flagship, Captain Alara stood before her officers. Her eyes were calm, though her heart thundered. For her, this was not the beginning of war. It was the end of waiting. Are the transmissions ready? She asked. Yes, Captain, replied an officer. Encoded in every tongue of the galaxy. Ilara nodded. Send it. The message spread like fire. Across the galaxy, in every station, on every world, in every alien ship, the same words echoed. A human voice. Strong, steady, undeniable. We were silent because we were preparing. We built in the shadows because we remembered your wars. Now we are ready. We do not seek conquest, but we will not kneel. The galaxy must choose. Stand with us or tremble before what comes. The council chamber fell into chaos as the words finished. Some shouted for alliance, others for destruction. The fear was too great. They had seen races rise and fall, but never one that hid its strength for centuries. Never one that turned silence into a weapon. Meanwhile, in the outer rim of the galaxy, alien civilians watched in awe. Traders, miners, and refugees stared at the sky as strange lights moved in formation. Rumors became truth. The humans had risen. On a barren mining world, a father held his child close as they gazed at the stars. Papa, what are those? The child asked. The father whispered, almost afraid to speak. Not planets, my son. Not stars. They are the humans. They are coming. In secret war rooms, alien generals debated strategies. We must strike first, one shouted. No, another argued. If we strike, we wake the beast fully. If we wait, maybe they will spare us. But no plan brought comfort. Every path led to fear. The galaxy, once proud and loud, had become quiet. The silence that once belonged to humanity now spread across every world. And deep within the flagship, Ilara looked out at the stars. The fleet stretched beyond her sight, endless and unstoppable. She clenched her fist and whispered only to herself, "Let them tremble. We are ready." Humanity's dawn, the galaxy held its breath. Across star systems, alien fleets prepared for war. Engines hummed, weapons powered, soldiers tightened their grips on rifles. They expected fire, invasion, destruction. Humanity's sudden rise had shaken every world, every empire. Fear had united them more than peace ever could. Inside the council chamber, leaders shouted over each other. They are too dangerous to live. If we strike now, we might still win. No, if we strike, we will die. In the middle of the storm of voices, Zorath stood silent. His old eyes were heavy with memory. At last, he spoke. You fools. Do you not see? Humans do not speak like conquerors. They speak like survivors. If they wanted war, we would already be dead. His words silenced the chamber. Far beyond, in the solar system, the awakening fleet prepared for its first journey. Ships the size of worlds glowed with power. Cities pulsed with light inside their armored shells. Oceans rolled within them. Forests stretched beneath artificial skies. These were not only war machines, they were arks, living sanctuaries. Inside, the flagship Captain Alara addressed her people. Thousands of officers watched her on glowing screens. Millions of citizens born in tunnels and caverns listened from across the fleet. Her voice was steady, carrying across every ship. For centuries we prepared in silence. We built, not because we dreamed of conquest, but because we remembered pain. We remembered chains. We remembered loss. Never again shall humanity be helpless. Never again shall our children fear the stars. She raised her hand and the screen showed the greatest secret of all, a ship so vast it eclipsed the light of Jupiter. It was not a battleship, it was not a fortress. It was a moving world, an ark built to carry billions. Inside, it held oceans, mountains, cities, even skies of its own. The crew whispered in awe. The galaxy had never seen such a creation. When the council finally received the images, they trembled. It was beyond imagination. A ship that could live forever, carrying humanity anywhere they chose to go. The humans sent one final message. We do not rise for war. We rise for tomorrow. Those who seek to stand with us will share in our light. Those who seek to break us will face the silence we once endured. The words spread faster than any weapon. Civilizations across the galaxy listened, and for the first time they did not laugh at Earth's name. They whispered it with fear and with hope. On a distant alien mining world, the same child who once asked about the lights looked again at the sky. This time, the heavens were alive with movement. The awakening fleet passed overhead, vast and endless, like a wall of stars. The father held his son close and whispered, "Remember this night. This is the dawn of humans, the dawn of something greater than empires." Back on the flagship, Ilara stood at the viewing deck. The stars stretched before her. The fleet was ready. Behind her, Arya and her grandfather watched in silence, their eyes shining with pride. The old man whispered, "For centuries we were shadows. Now we are the dawn." The fleet moved forward, slow and unstoppable. Alien sensors screamed across the galaxy. Some ships prepared to attack. Others lowered their weapons. A choice had to be made. Stand with the humans or stand against them. The galaxy trembled, but humanity did not. For the first time in history, Earth's children were not following anyone. They were leading. And as the awakening fleet stretched across the stars, the message was clear. Humanity's silence was over. Their dawn had begun.